Hello everyone, this is Justin Haney and this is my EDL 853 Module 10 case study. Section 1, and we're going to cover the case summary. The situation is Miguel, a student, was removed from his biology class due to the classroom's lack of wheelchair accessibility. The parties involved is going to be Miguel Hernandez, student, principal, myself, Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez, the parents, Mrs. Guzman, the school counselor, and Howard Carey, the Hernandez family attorney. The situation all kind of stems from a football game where Miguel, our quarterback, was hit and paralyzed from the waist down and now has to use a wheelchair. His schedule was changed due to the biology class that he's in. It's the lack of wheelchair accessibility. Parents are demanding that he be placed back into the class and have brought in their attorney. When and where is going to be Dover School District, Nottingham High School, just over 3,200 students enrolled in our high school. The injury occurred during the state quarterfinals, and Miguel is returning to school after several months of rehabilitation. Also, I should note, this whole situation I feel could have been easily avoided had we planned ahead on Miguel's return. We brought him and his parents in, done a walkthrough, talked about his schedule, talked about obstacles, and looked at anything that we may have needed to address before he came back to school. This would also have kept them from having to bring their attorney in and address that. I need to apologize because my dog is trying to play with me through this, so hopefully he won't be too much of a distraction. Legal and ethical issues. The Individuals with Disability Education Act says we must provide free and tailored public education for all individuals with disabilities. Definitely, it's free right now for Miguel, but we are definitely struggling with the tailored part for his education. The Americans with Disabilities Act requires reasonable accommodations and accessible public accommodations. Buildings built before 1992 may not be required to be fully accessible if it creates a financial burden for the district. We are definitely not providing reasonable accommodations. The building he is in was definitely built before 1992, and it may create a financial burden to have to make it accessible for that classroom, but we are not accommodating Miguel's situation at all. Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act says a 504 plan must be provided for students for support and services and accommodations for equal support in all programs. Again, we're not providing that support. We're not providing equal for everybody, as Miguel had to be removed from the class because he's not able to attend due to its accessibility issues. I believe Miguel would fit onto a 504 plan. I don't know if he would necessarily need to go on a full IEP, although if parents requested, we could definitely look at that. Legally, no one is responsible to compensate financially for Miguel's injury unless equipment was not certified or up to date. The family could always file a civil suit, but no duty appears to have been breached and no one acted negligent. They could try a civil suit against the other team, but as long as it was within the confinements of the game and no major blatant rules were broken, I feel like nothing would really hold up. Ethically, as educators, we should all want our students to have fair and equal opportunities in our buildings. Legally, not abiding by these acts, we could risk losing funding and have civil suits brought against our district. We so far have made no efforts to accommodate Miguel into this biology class to fit into a schedule which he needs for college credit, or not college credit, but to gain access into the college as a requirement. Synthesize the entire issue. Due to accessibility with Miguel's biology classrooms, Mrs. Guzman removed him from the class by not allowing Miguel the same opportunities as students without disabilities. In turn, will cause problems with his college prerequisites and have put our school in potential legal issues. Section 4, we're going to look at the people again. Again, Miguel, myself, principal, parents, counselor, and the family attorney. Same place as mentioned before is Dover School District, Nottingham High School, and then the biology classroom with accessibility issues. The program is public high school, like we talked about, possibly an IEP, but definitely he qualifies for a 504 plan. Our unknowns: the cost to make the classroom accessible, availability for an alternative space, online class availability, and the family's willingness to compromise. Section 5, stakeholders and risks. Miguel, if he does not get into this biology class, would not be meeting his college requirements and possibly not be able to attend the school he wants to. There are also going to be possible social emotional effects from not being in this class, or just overall stress, anxiety about not being able to get into the school that he would like. Our school and district, a lawsuit by not complying with disability acts, bad publicity for our school, negative effect on school culture, as Miguel is a very popular student as he was our quarterback, could definitely cause other students to be upset about this whole situation. For myself, I could lose credibility and I could be reprimanded by our superintendent. To-dos: what we need to do is find out the cost, capability, and time of making the biology room accessible. I need to meet with Mrs. Guzman and talk about a few things for sure, just about that overall process of, in this situation, before he came back and we changed the schedule, we should have done a walkthrough and recognized this issue and been the first ones to approach him about the situation and things to work around it. I would encourage her next time to reach out to Miguel's family and just cover what we need as school before he returns and bring him in for that walkthrough, just to go through his schedule and see if there's any hiccups or anything that we need to look at. We need to look at an online replacement possibility, and then we need to meet with Miguel and his parents and the attorney to discuss those options. We need to show transparency, and we need to communicate our willingness to meet Miguel's needs. I would also contact our district's special education director to discuss and invite him into the situation just to help with our whole problem here. Our options that I came up with: number one is option 1, no action. Just keep Miguel's change in schedule and make no other changes. Option 2 is parents' choice. Meet with the parents and give them basically free reign of all decisions, and us as a school find a way to make it work. Option 3 is research and decide. Look at all those options that we talked about and things we need to look into, and then legally make a smart decision. And then option 4, meet, research, compromise, meet with the parents, look at options for available classrooms, and then meet with the parents to determine a solution. We're going to look at option number 1, pros and cons, and no action. Pros: we don't have to work through any conflict resolution, and we're going to save money as a school district. Cons: we may not save that much money because legally we're going to run into issues and have a lawsuit on our hands by abiding by the disability acts. Miguel would not be getting his college credit or college requirement, and would shine a bad light on our school district, myself, and our school. So that one is definitely going to be a no. Option 2, parent choice. The pros: takes us out of legal risk. Miguel will get the class that he needs. Cons: could possibly put our school into a financial burden. Superintendent could lose trust in me by basically just saying, all right, let's do whatever the parents need. And then it could potentially upset staff members that are affected by the parent's choice if the biology classroom needs moved and we don't make accommodations for the classroom also. Option number 3 is research and decide. I would look at all the options and find the best way to get Miguel the biology credit, whether it's online, moving classrooms, accessibility, modifications, etc. The school would avoid financial burden by me doing this, and then it takes us out of legal issues. The cons: family would still have no input and could still be potentially unhappy and sue. We're not building a relationship with that family, and home and school, that kind of balance we got to work with there. We wouldn't help any in that situation at all. Option number 4, we're going to meet, research, and compromise. The school would avoid financial burden, take us out of legal issues. We would meet Miguel's needs, and we'd build that home and school relationship. Cons, it's going to take a little time and a little more effort, but that's quite all right because that's the option as what's best to do for students, what's best to do for Miguel, and what's best to do for our school. So that's what we're going with. We're going to go with the meet, research, and compromise. For all stakeholders, I feel like this is the best option. I'm a firm believer in doing what's best for children. And like I said, this is what is going to be best for Miguel. At the same time, we need to make sure we're making what is best also within reason by bringing all stakeholders together, helping address our needs and expectations. This also gives us transparency while building trust with the family. Step by step, this is going to be how we're going to work through the situation. We're going to meet with the parents. We're going to sit down and see what their expectations are and have Miguel also in on this. And we're going to do that as soon as possible. We're going to apologize for our lack of communication in the beginning. Like I said, we'll say, hey, we should have brought you in. We should have done a walkthrough, and we should have recognized this before it came to this. We'll do the following adaptations to prevent we'll have them present as preliminary solutions, and we'll just say, hey, these are the things we're looking at. We're going to get more research on them. We're going to collect the data and see what it's going to take, but we'll present them with these when we meet. Accessibility construction, so look at modifying the classroom to see what it will take to make it accessible for Miguel. Classroom reassignment, if we need to move the classroom, we can definitely do that, but we'll also have to talk to the teachers and see if there's possibly things that they're going to need that can't be moved into other classrooms. Online learning, possibly look at getting the credit online. We'll talk to teachers again that way. We'll have to do research. Combination of 3 and 2, where possibly we could do online learning, but in situations where Miguel needed to be present, we can move the classroom into that situation. I would bring our school district special education director in and the counselor at this point to help with any questions that may arise, and just use a team approach as we go through this. Step number 2, after we meet with family, we're going to collect data. We're going to look at all those things that we talked about, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to get all the data that we need, including cost, space, course needs, remote learning availability, online, and then time that these things could take. If it's construction, or if it's doing things to make the classroom accessible, that's going to take time, it's going to take cost. Spaces or alternate classrooms to look at. So those are things that just are kind of unknowns that we'll have to do research on. We're going to look at the data, and then from step two, we're going to look at the data and look at the expectations of Miguel and his family, what they were wanting from this whole situation, and then what they were okay with. We're going to assess that data, and we're going to come up with the best possible solution and present it in step number 4 to Miguel and his family in another meeting. With so many unknowns in this case, it is difficult to know the exact solution. Many times the solution is going to depend on the student and family, what they're okay with. Just going through their needs. It'll depend if Miguel's okay being away from his classmates. It's going to depend on the accessibility of the classroom, but we have to make those adaptations and modifications to meet those disability acts. At the same time, we want to provide Miguel with the best educational experience possible. So we're going to do what it takes to compromise and meet Miguel's needs, but at the same time not put our school in a financial burden. References we used. I think the biggest thing to take from this is just communication. There was a lack of it in the beginning, and as long as we communicate with Miguel and his family throughout the rest, I think we will be able to get through the situation. So thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Take care.